Orders of the day.
Private members' public business. Ballot item number 21. Order M70. Second reading of Bill 70, an act to amend the Metrolinx Act 2006 and the Public Transportation and Highway Improvement Act with respect to transportation. MPP Hazell.
I recognize the member from Scarborough-Guildwood.
I moved second reading of Bill 70, an act to amend the Metrolinx Act 2006 and the Public Transportation and Highway Improvement Act with respect to transportation.
MPP Hazell has moved second reading of Bill 70, an act to amend the Metrolinx Act 2006 and the Public Transportation and Highway Improvement Act with respect to transportation. Pursuant to Standing Order 100, the member has 12 minutes for their presentation. Scarborough-Guildwood.
Madam Speaker, I rise today to debate my third piece of legislation in this House. This bill has three smart components, three smart ideas that address promoting active transportation, the construction of affordable housing near public transit, and improving safety standards on dangerous northern highways. So this is like an omnibus bill, but the only thing with that, unlike the government, this is very positive. Everything in this bill is positive and clean. I want to start with the bike share program. Madam Speaker, over the last few years, bike share system has become a critical high-growth component of our regional mobility. In 2024, Toronto saw over 6.9 million bike share riders and has grown to over 8 million projected riders this year. That is a massive demand signal that we cannot ignore. Madam Speaker, the people of Ontario are chosen active transportation, and Metrolinx need to support them. Madam Speaker, cycling is the healthiest form of transportation in Ontario. It provides daily exercise many Ontarians struggle to find time for. It runs with zero emission, reducing reliance on gasoline and diesel vehicles, and can help us meet our climate goals right here in the GTHA. Madam Speaker, cycling can often be faster than public transit, as we know how the gridlock and congestion is in Ontario. And this is especially for that critical first and last mile of our journey. We're seeing this reality play out across Ontario every single day as people look for ways to get out of their cars and reduce the congestion and gridlock that is affecting us mentally. In 2023, I rose in this House and I raised the issue of commuters who want to take their cars off the road and to use the bike share program. And in 2025, nothing has changed, Madam Speaker. Take, for example, a Hamilton commuter traveling to downtown Toronto. They could take the West Harbour GO train to Union Station, then transfer to the TTC subway to reach their office. With current fare integration, that trip costs about $11.44. But if they want the healthier alternative option, using the bike share to connect to the GO system, they face 3 separate fees for a single trip. The total cost will be about $20.54. That's a $9.10 increase in cost for choosing a sustainable, active and convenient option. Right now, our system actively discourages people from leaving their cars at home and penalizes anyone trying to make a greener choice. Madam Speaker, bike share and public transit operate like two completely separate worlds. For commuters, this disconnect means their trip becomes more expensive. This has now become an equity issue. The people who rely most on transit are the ones paying the highest price for a system that refuses to work together. What should be an easy, sustainable first or last mile option? And this is why we need the bike share program to work as an integrated system. So, for example, if you're coming from Hamilton and you're at the Union Station, you could actually get your bike and get to work and then take that bike back and get back to Union Station. Now, if you leave your car at the first mile, you're going to have to take a cab to get to your work. So we're not moving forward with transportation connectivity and integration. We're actually moving backwards. We're not supporting the commuters of Ontario and giving them different alternative options than getting into a car. Madam Speaker, supporting Section 1 of the Smart Ontario Act is not just supporting bikes, it's supporting seamless, affordable, healthy and reliable transportation for all commuters in Ontario and the 8 million bike share riders in 2025. It's common sense. It's about making the first last mile journey from door to destination easier. Madam Speaker, the second part of this Smart Ontario Act also amends Metrolinx Act to require 20% affordable housing whenever Metrolinx sells land to residential property developers. Madam Speaker, did you know Metrolinx is the largest land owners in all of Ontario, and it currently has multiple properties up for sale. What do you think happened to those properties that are up for sale? Example, Metrolinx has sold land in Scarborough, Danforth, downtown Bathurst, along the Davenport corridor, at Oriole, and even around Oakville Go. And at none of these sites did Metrolinx require a single affordable unit. This isn't an isolated oversight. It's a long-standing pattern of selling public land with no public benefit. This prime real estate to redevelop for transit-oriented living, and we need to see more proactivity from Metrolinx and its government to ensure that the redevelopment includes an affordability component. I have seen the impact that this housing and affordability crisis has on the people of Ontario, and especially in my riding of Scarborough-Guildwood. Madam Speaker, we are in a generational housing crisis. And when we sell government land off for housing, we should be ensuring that there is an affordable component. Madam Speaker, there is no rent control in Ontario, and I know this is not new news for you. Young people can't afford to buy a home. Owning a home is out of reach for young families. Students are graduating and still living with their parents because rent is too high. In Ontario, nearly 40% of renters, listen to this, spend 31 to 50% of their income on rent. And in Toronto, the average one-bedroom costs $2,300 a month, forcing many to cut back on food and essentials just to make ends meet. Madam Speaker, this is exactly why the second section of my Smart Ontario bill must be approved. By voting for the Smart Ontario Act, this government can ease the burden of the housing crisis Ontarians are facing, so that young families can afford their first home and achieve the dream of home ownership in this tough and unbearable Ontario that we live in today. When the government sells off land without an affordability component, it is a major missed opportunity to make meaningful progress on housing affordability. Madam Speaker, that the housing affordability task force that this government has shelved, I don't think they even know where to find it. The government has refused to implement the vast majority of its recommendations. Madam Speaker, by voting for the Smart Ontario Act, this government can finally show respect to the families that want to get into the housing market. But most importantly, the affordable housing market. Let's change that today. Madam Speaker, the last part of the Smart Ontario Act amends the Public Transit and Highway Improvement Act to finally address the dangerous conditions on highways 11, 17 and 69. These highways remain underdeveloped, two-lane routes used daily by thousands of Northerners. Closures happen constantly due to collisions, winter storms and poor maintenance, and many stretches still have no cell service. Highway 11 alone carries more than 2,000 transport trucks a day on only 2 lanes, forcing drivers to travel dangerously close to heavy trucks in harsh weather with no safe passing options. Winter has barely begun, and we have already seen a series of fatal crashes. Madam Speaker, just 3 days ago, on November 29th, a pedestrian was struck and killed near Long Lac on Highway 11, leading to 7-hour closure. That same day, a collision on Highway 17 between North Bay and Sergeant Falls shut down 6-kilometer stretch. On November 15, a multi-vehicle crash involving transport trucks closed Highway 11 between Highway 65 and 64 for several hours. These fatal accidents keep happening because the infrastructure is not keeping people safe. Madam Speaker, I have seen these conditions firsthand. I traveled up north a couple months ago, and I drove on Highway 17. Within 7 minutes, I passed 12 trucks that were going above the speed limit. I felt and understood why locals have been pleading for actions, including my northern colleagues across from me. My heart was racing the entire drive. It is unacceptable that the Northerners face such dangerous conditions every single day, while this government refuses to respond with urgency. Human life is priceless, and yet Northern safety continues to be neglected. This bill, if passed, will strengthen the winter maintenance standards by requiring snow removal within 4 hours after snowfall and ice clearance within 3 hours instead of the current 12-hour window. Highways 11, 17, and 69 must be maintained at the same standard as the 400 series. Why is it different from the 400 series? Madam Speaker, Ontario doesn't need more promises, it needs action. Our job as legislators isn't just to imagine a better future, it's to build it. The Smart Ontario Act does exactly that. These proposals, they're not complicated. Actually, it's smart, and it's the right thing to implement. It's not even controversial. But I know this government job is to vote down all of our bills on this side of the House, or even use some of those ideas later on and get them approved themselves. I want to marinate that for a second, because we on this side of the House, we come into this House and we do our research and we work hard and we put our bills together so we can see change for the people of Ontario and especially our riding. But I know it's the duty and the job of this government side to vote it down. So while I know this bill is going to be voted down today, it will never defeat me. I will never be discouraged, because I will continue to fight for every person in Ontario, and especially the people of Scarborough-Guildwood that elected me. So I'm going to say this again. In my SMART bill, these are practical common sense amendments that will make life safer and more affordable for people across this province. Thank you.